Have you ever noticed text aligned just below images on websites? It's a common layout in web development, but it's not always ideal, especially if space is limited on your website. So what's the alternative? Well, how about using an elegant overlay effect to reveal information when we hover over an image or component? This overlay method is a sleek and modern way to showcase content on your website. Now, without further ado, let's dive into creating this overlay effect that gracefully unfolds the text content with a smooth transition. Let's get started. First, in HTML, we will create a div with the class wrapper. This will serve as the main container for the image and text content. Within this div element, we will place our image first. Then we will create another div with the class content. This div will act as a semi-transparent layer for our image, which will be visible when we hover over the image. Inside this div, we will place another div element with the class title. For the text, we can simply use a heading 4 element for the title and AP tag. Now that we have finished with the HTML for the overlay effect, let's move on to CSS styling. For this project, I have already imported the Poppins font and included default styles for global and pseudo elements. To start, we will add styles to our image tag. First, we will set its width to 100% to ensure the image takes up the full width of the container. Next, we will use Object Fit Cover to ensure the image covers the entire area of its container while maintaining its aspect ratio. Finally, we will set the vertical align to middle to ensure the image aligns properly within its container, which is especially useful when working with inline elements or within flexbox or grid layouts. Next, we will style our wrapper class. First, we will set its position to relative. This allows child elements within this element to be positioned absolutely. We will set the width of the wrapper class to 400 pixels. Its cursor will be of type pointer. Similarly, we will set its overflow property to hidden, which will ensure the image won't spill outside the boundary of the wrapper class when hovered. Lastly, we will set its border radius to 5 pixels. Moving forward, we will target the image within the wrapper class. We will set the transition property to 0.5 second. This will create a smooth transition effect whenever the image properties change, such as when the user hovers over it. Likewise, to add user interactivity when the user hovers over the wrapper class, we will target the image and decrease its brightness using the CSS WebKit filter property. Additionally, to create a subtle zoom effect on the image, we will scale it using the transform property, or we will scale the image by 110% when it's in hovered state. Now that we have created a zoom in effect for our image when hovered, we will proceed to create a semi-transparent layer over the wrapper class. To do this, we will target the div element with the class content. First, we will set its position to absolute. Next, we will set the left, top, right, and bottom properties to 25 pixels, creating a 25px spacing from all 4 edges of the wrapper. For the overlay effect, we will set the background color to semi-transparent black. Similarly, for any transition, we will set it to 0.5 seconds. To achieve a smooth overlay effect when hovered, we will slightly scale our overlay larger. After creating the semi-transparent overlay, we need to hide it initially, so we will simply set its opacity to 0. Now that we've hidden the overlay, let's add some magic. When the user hovers over the main wrapper class, we'll make the overlay visible by setting the opacity to 1. We'll also smoothly shrink it back to its original size. This will make our overlay gracefully return to its original form and gradually come into full view. Next, we will position the text content within the overlay by styling the div element with the class title. To ensure it spans the entire overlay, we will set its width to 100%. Then, we will position the text within the container by setting the position to absolute, allowing us to freely position it relative to the wrapper. We will initially place the text 45 pixels below the container's bottom edge using the bottom minus 45 pixels. For padding, we will apply 15px for the top and bottom and 30px for the left and right. To create a smooth animation, we will set a transition duration of 0.5 seconds. Additionally, we will center the text horizontally by using Text Align Center, set the color to white for better readability, and make the font size 1.1 rem. For the hover effect, we want the text to slide up into view when the user hovers over the wrapper element. To do this, we will target the class title during the hover state of the wrapper class. We will change the bottom property from -45px to 30%, allowing the text to slide up smoothly into position from below the overlay. This creates an engaging slide-up effect for the text content. And that's a wrap. We've reached the end of this tutorial where we learned how to create an awesome overlay hover effect using HTML and CSS. This cool overlay effect can be implemented in various components across your website, making your content more readable and engaging and ultimately enhancing the overall user experience. If you have any questions about the tutorial or just want to share your thoughts, feel free to drop a comment below.